Ever since the last election 3 years ago, America has been deeply divided.
We the people are taking our country back. And Trump is giving it to us. Go get her, she's yours.
Now the country is once again preparing for one of its most contentious and consequential presidential races in its history. Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, the sequel, now looks inevitable.
We will make America safe again, and we will make America great again.
Despite facing 91 felonies, Trump is set to win the Republican nomination and could become the first former president to campaign as a criminal defendant.
I will do everything I can to end this witch hunt and end the weaponized government.
Joe Biden says he's the only Democrat who can beat him.
Democracy is on the ballot. Your freedom is on the ballot.
But his critics say not only is he unpopular, but he's just too old.
This protester has disrupted the president as he's given his speech, and as you can see, they're trying to remove her.
As the 2024 campaign heats up, I'm taking to the road to look at the state of America's politics and what a second-term Biden or Trump presidency might mean for us in the UK. Now, the race for the White House officially begins here in the Midwestern state of Iowa, and this might be the coldest ever caucus in history, but that hasn't stopped the candidates crisscrossing across the state in order to win votes to become their party's nominee for president. This is where the Republican selection process begins, and these Make America Great Again supporters are braving the blistering cold to catch a glimpse of Trump. I want to know his secret to maintaining such strong loyalty among evangelical Christians.
He just means America. He just stands for American values.
So for you, America First is what he represents?
Yes.
Can I ask you, there are some people who see him as a godlike figure,
No.
a messiah.
No, I don't believe that, and I don't think that people should see him as in that manner.
Why is that?
There's only one God, and when we look to President Trump, one of the things that he values is one true God.
But there are some people like 63-year-old Dean who believes Trump is anointed and has been chosen by God to lead.
I believe that God sent him here to protect us and help us.
That's how much he means to you.
Yes, he's a good man. He really is.
Preach from the Capitol to the upper level.
That might be why his supporters are more committed than ever.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
They believed him when he said the 2020 election was stolen. Some of them even stormed the US Capitol. But never before has a candidate pursued the presidency while facing 91 criminal charges involving allegations of election fraud, mishandling classified documents, and falsifying business records in order to cover up hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of Trump's most vocal allies, and she told me she believes he is innocent.
I'm sure people in your country are shocked at what they're seeing in America because everyone in your country and the rest of the world knows that this is not the America that they've always known. And you want to know something? I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the America that I've always known either. And I stand with President Trump, and I will do everything I can to end this witch hunt and end the weaponized government.
So this is less about justice and more about some sort of vendetta?
No, this is injustice. This is what you're watching today in our country is the Biden administration is using the Justice Department, and they're colluding with these state DAs all to try to stop President Trump from winning the 2024 election. And I can tell you right now, I travel the country all the time. I talk to so many voters in our country, not just Republicans, independents and Democrats too, and they all know exactly what this is, and we want President Trump back.
We did nothing wrong at all, and we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest.
Unprecedented, historic, and astonishing are all adjectives I often find myself using when covering Trump's court appearances. But the truth of the matter is, politics has never seen anything like this man before.
He does not deserve to be treated this way. He loves America, he loves his people.
Isn't it
and
important
he loves
that he is held to
entire
account
world.
if he has done wrong?
I don't think he has committed any crime.
I feel sorry for this country and for you. You are still sleeping.
I think I'm awake.
No, you are not. I hope one day history can prove you are wrong, okay?
If we follow the polls, he's doing very well. Does
Among
that worry
Republicans, yes, it worries me a lot because these people are being brainwashed by a sociopathic grifter.
Hell no! We won't go!
Ask any journalist covering these proceedings, and they will tell you it is an experience like no other.
Wouldn't you say it's important to allow the justice system to run its course?
Well, this is the injustice system. We have two tiers of justice right now. This is not justice that you're seeing. This is a disgusting example of a president, I loosely call him that, Joe Biden, weaponizing our government. Our government belongs to we the people. He's weaponizing our government against his political foe. Because guess what? His political foe is so massive and so strong that Joe Biden can't beat him. And he knows that. And he knows Trump's going to win the nomination. Trump's going to go on to beat him.
He's withheld 600 pages of materials that will exonerate Donald Trump. This is ridiculous. Donald, I love you.
So could Trump, as his followers strongly believe, be the victim of a witch hunt?
I categorically reject any suggestion, any accusation, any notion that this is a witch hunt.
Alberto Gonzales is a former U.S. Attorney General who was head of the Department of Justice under George Bush.
Donald Trump engaged in some reckless conduct, and in doing so, he placed himself above the law, and he potentially has jeopardized the national security of this country, the national security of our allies, and I think it perhaps has made it more difficult for our allies to trust that the United States can protect sensitive information.
Democrats see Trump as their best chance at winning the White House again.
I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not.
But he's also the one they fear the most when it comes to losing.
So, Governor, are you worried about the prospect of a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden?
No, I relish the idea that we're going to run not only against Donald Trump, but any Republican who's running on the MAGA agenda. Remember how unpopular this agenda is. Abortion rights, for example, across the United States inure to the benefit of Democrats. We're the ones standing up for women's rights and women's reproductive health. The Republicans want to take that away. Guns. The Republicans think everybody should have a gun or multiple guns. Democrats at least think there ought to be some gun safety legislation and that we ought to ban assault weapons. And finally, it was Donald Trump that lost millions of jobs in the United States. And Joe Biden that's restored that and more. In fact, Joe Biden's created more jobs than any president, I think, in my lifetime, and brought manufacturing back to the United States. So I think those things are not worrying me. Those are things that are encouraging me about why Joe Biden will win in November.
I've come to Virginia to see both the president and vice president on their first joint campaign rally.
Kamala Harris kicked it all off with a speech about abortion rights, an issue affecting millions of women in this country.
He intended for them to take your freedoms. He is the architect of this healthcare crisis.
But what should have been a major moment for Joe Biden instead descended into total chaos.
Joe and I had a chance to sit down.
There is a no! How many kids have you
What we saw happen next was a full-on demonstration showing the anger of young people and some Muslim Americans over Biden's handling of the Hamas-Israel conflict.
protester has disrupted the president as he's given his speech. And as you can see, they're trying to remove her.
Everyone in that room, including the president, were clearly shocked. I think I counted him being heckled around 14 to 15 times.
I wanted to hear what the president had to say. We only got to hear little bits. And something the president did say that I don't know if anybody caught was as the third person stood up, he said, guys, they're just passionate. That's my president. He gets it, he understands it, but there's a time and a place.
It is somewhat unusual for foreign policy issues to generate these kind of strong feelings. I've come outside the rally to meet the protesters who were removed.
Supporters of the president said what you did was disrespectful.
No. As long as there is a genocide going on in Gaza, a genocide that is killing women, killing over 11,000 children, 70% of the 25,000 killed are women and children. As long as that is going on, every time is the time and place. Palestine is going to be the issue this year. And if President Biden can't understand that yet, then maybe he doesn't belong in the Oval Office next year.
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets of what?
Heckling the president.
Absolutely not. This is going to happen from now till Election Day. The president is not going to go anywhere without knowing he's supporting a genocide.
There is a real risk that this conflict could become a major political headache for Biden. With his approval rating at a record low, he knows this presidential campaign will be the fight of his life. This congressman is one of his closest friends.
Why do you think his approval rating is so bad at the moment?
Because the country has turned to style over substance. It's just that simple. Style versus substance. We had a bombastic personality running for president who developed that personality over television. Style.
What do you admire about him?
Joe Biden is not flamboyant. Joe Biden is not bombastic. Joe Biden is just a solid administrator, a solid public servant.
Team Biden say they are confident he will remain in the White House, but Trump has vowed to do whatever it takes to move back in. And the very thought of that has left some people beyond excited, including former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's already declared his support for the former president, saying Donald Trump is what the world needs right now. So what will another Trump presidency mean for Britain and Europe? I'm about to talk to one man who might have the answer.
I think it would be erratic, unpredictable, chaotic, uncertain, and I think that is the central part of the problem. He doesn't see the world in any sort of strategic way, and he doesn't behave that way. That's in contrast to Biden, who's just weak.
John Bolton is a Republican veteran on foreign policy and spent just over a year in Trump's administration.
Do you think Boris Johnson is right about another 4 years of Donald Trump?
Well, I'm a fan of Boris Johnson. I'll just say on this one, we disagree pretty strongly. I think this would be a big problem for the United States and for its allies if Trump were reelected. He doesn't think consistently or strategically. At a time in the world when I think the level of threat, whether it's the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Iranian directed assault of multiple terrorist groups across the Middle East, the threat of Chinese belligerent behavior against Taiwan and the South China Sea along the border with India are very much with us. I think we need a president who can provide more consistent, coherent leadership. And I have to say right now, if it's a race between Trump and Biden this November, neither candidate will be up to the job.
But the Trump campaign strategy already seems to be working. From the Iowa caucuses.
So we're here behind the scenes in the media room for the Republican caucus results. And what we're seeing so far is that Donald Trump has won by a landslide, by 51%.
To the New Hampshire primary, he is cementing his position as the Republican frontrunner. But his former UN ambassador Nikki Haley is the only thing now between him and that nomination. The last two presidential candidates to go head-to-head for a second time was in the 1950s, but this year the stakes couldn't be any much higher. The battle for America could boil down to two main points among voters: Biden's age and Trump's legal nightmares.
When you talk to people up and down this country, there is a sense of disbelief of another election rematch. But like most sequels, this one though is going to be a lot more dramatic and explosive. And the man currently inside that building knows he can't underestimate his rival, who will be ruthless in his attempts to get him out.
Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
Ambush was just a diversion! Security, please bring up. Ravage, he's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy, sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark craft. General!